What's going on, everybody? Today it seems like PSA is responding to the CGC backlash, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's been a whole scandal going on. I'm not going to cover that in this video to a huge extent, but pretty much there were some test cards from Pokemon back in 1996 that were authenticated by CGC, and this happened in 2022. Apparently those turned out to be real, but a lot of them started popping up from this year 2020 or last year 2024, and the metadata did reveal that those were indeed fake. And it was weird because a lot of them were super pristine and just they're all getting like 10s and 9.5s, and they're 30-year-old cards that haven't been in protection or whatever. So yeah, that whole thing pretty sketchy. But getting to my point, I think CGC is looking really bad right now because they did go ahead and authenticate a lot of those ones that were fake. And who knows, a lot of this other like high-end, super scarce vintage stuff could be fake too. But they didn't really make a statement about it, and I feel like that's kind of bad on them. I feel like they should have addressed that immediately and kind of said like, oh, okay, these are fake, we're going to cancel the certification and whatever. And also this sucks because these cards are going for tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like there are millions of dollars in these cards in total. But so why I think PSA is kind of responding. They didn't exactly like release this to the public, but they did have a new policy change. So on the website, as you can see here, I'm just going to read this off. I'm sure you can, but I want to kind of read it over again for my own sake. So a Gem Mint 10, PSA 10 is the highest PSA grade you can get. This is a virtually perfect card. Attributes include 4 perfectly sharp corners, sharp focus, full original gloss. A PSA Gem Mint 10 must be free from staining of any kind, but an allowance may be made for a slight printing imperfection if it doesn't impair the overall appeal of the card. The image must be centered on the card with a tolerance not to exceed approximately 55 to 45% on the front and 75 to 25% on the back. So that's where this whole thing comes up. It seems like by changing their requirements, PSA's tightening the screws down a little bit, getting a little bit more strict, because CGC was super liberal with what they were doing, with what they were grading, and it was just a bad look on them. So if you don't know, beforehand, PSA worked within a range of 60 to 40 to this 55 to 45%. And so obviously it's the centering of the card. So if it's shifted a little bit over this way or to the left or right, I wish I had an example to show. I can probably pop something up on the screen of what the 60 to 40 would look like. But now it has to pretty much be dead center, which makes sense because I mean, like 60-40 is nice if you're trying to get cards and resell them and be within that range, but now they're really tightening down the screws, and I think it's just going to make them more reputable. It's going to make PSA cards more expensive. It's going to be harder to get them. And I actually didn't know it was 75-25 on the back. That's pretty bad, honestly, but if you're really not seeing the centering on the back, whatever. And I kind of experienced that because I did buy a Giratina V Alt Art, was it last year? Maybe 2 years ago. But it was perfect on the front, and it was just a little tilted in the inside box. And I didn't think it was going to hit a 10 after that, and I was kind of sad because I spent a lot of money on it, but it ended up hitting the 10, and then I traded it later for some level X's or whatever, maybe some EX full arts. But yeah, so it was within that range, but I just wanted to make this quick video to show that it is kind of changing. PSA is tightening down the screws. Well, CGC is kind of in a bad spot right here. So those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments, and I would greatly appreciate if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.